Welcome to the fat loss bridge, and in this video I'm just going to explain to you in the most simple terms as possible how you are right here putting all of this effort in, all of this time doing a calorie deficit, extra cardio, staying consistent in the gym, but you aren't getting to that jacked and that shredded physique. And I'm going to just explain to you how testosterone is that bridge that you are going to drive over to get to that physique that you want. And you are probably, hopefully already, constantly putting in time in the gym, doing all this cardio, maybe even tracking your calories and your macros, hitting your protein goals, doing all these things that you feel like are right and should be getting you where you want to be, but it just seems to not be getting you anywhere. And that is one of the most frustrated feelings. And I spent so much time in that phase, way too much time just in a what I thought was a plateau, but at the end of the day it was just broken testosterone. So in this video I'm going to be explaining to you how testosterone is the bridge right here and how you are going to utilize this bridge to get real results. So if you're watching this, I'm guessing you are in your 20s or your 30s. You're putting all this time into it and you just have low energy. You are waking up tired. You're doing some things right, or even you're doing a lot right, but just not getting anywhere. So this is where you are at now. And over here is going to be your goal physique. Yeah, we'll say goal physique, and or just we'll just say goal. You're currently on the left side, and what you're currently probably stuck in is what I'm going to be calling the fat loss loop. This is where so many guys get stuck for so long. So you're stuck doing things like cardio, calorie deficit, consistency, pushing yourself in the gym, and just spending so much time doing all of this stuff, but not getting any real results in return. And that's like where the actual frustration comes in, because you know you want it bad enough and you're doing all of these things, putting all of this time in, but you aren't getting where you want to be. But you got to understand, you can put the time in, you can do the cardio, the calorie deficit, you can stay insanely consistent and push yourself every day in the gym. But if your body, it has low testosterone, if you're functioning on low testosterone in broken hormones, you are never going to drive across this bridge. No matter how consistent you stay, no matter how much more you do and how much effort you put in. But the reason I call this the fat loss loop is because where guys will be is doing things like this and then just not getting results after months, maybe even years, and just stay doing it. Stay putting in more and more effort into the cardio, into the calorie deficit, into the consistency, thinking they just need more discipline, and then just at the end of the day, blaming themselves. But that is not at all what is actually going to create real results. Doing more of what isn't working isn't going to work. If it's not already working, it's not going to work. So what you got to understand is that testosterone is going to be the bridge, and your testosterone is broken right now. And if your testosterone is broken, the majority of your hormones are not operating optimally. And until you have your hormones operating optimally and then your testosterone increased, you aren't going to see real results. So if you don't even actually know what testosterone exactly is, it is what makes you a man. So this is going to control how easily fat shreds, how easily muscle is built. And keep in mind, this is simultaneously. It's not, you shouldn't need to be doing this bulk cut, like that is not at all what you need to be doing. You can do both of them at the exact same time when your testosterone is increased. So it controls how fast you shred fat, how easily you can build muscle at the exact same time. It controls your drive, ambition, energy. It controls your confidence, who you are as a man overall. And if none of this currently is happening, that is a very clear sign you're testosterone is low and your hormones are broken. So what actually happens when you combine what you are doing right now with this testosterone bridge? Well, you reach the goal you have for yourself. The jacked, why is it being weird? The jacked, shredded physique. All right, come on. Ambition to chase huge goals, just to pursue huge things. The energy, like crazy high energy, just feeling absolutely amazing, waking up feeling like yourself, feeling like the absolute best version of you. And then that crazy high confidence, like you actually love who you are and the man that you want to become. And then identity. You know who you are. You know who you are as a man, and that completely impacts how you show up with people in your life, how you show up as a man in conversations with other people, with friends, maybe with your girlfriend, with your wife, maybe even with your kids. Whatever it is, it just controls how you are showing up in your life. And most people don't even talk about this part, but it is so important. So this is exactly the cycle that you are currently falling for. You have this low testosterone, so you don't experience these things. And then fat loss becomes so hard, muscle building becomes so much harder, and then you try harder, you do more cuts, you try to do a bigger calorie deficit, more cardio, then your testosterone drops even further, and then fat loss gets even harder. Hence the fat loss loop, and then you're just digging yourself into a deeper and a deeper hole, and you're just shoveling more and more, and that's where you're just falling. So let me explain what is actually breaking the bridge. When you fall for these things, you just drop your testosterone lower. When you do the wrong type of cardio and you have the wrong approach to cardio, you basically just keep your cortisol at very high elevated levels. And if you don't know what cortisol is, it is your stress hormone. It follows a natural rhythm throughout the day. And cortisol and testosterone share the exact, or share some of the same raw materials that they need to be produced. So when your cortisol is staying elevated from the wrong cardio all throughout the day, you are just taking that raw material away from your testosterone, and it is causing you to just keep producing cortisol and then dropping your testosterone. And then when you're doing things like this major calorie deficit that's keeping your cortisol elevated even more, that is disrupting your sleep and just doing all of these horrible things and tanking your hormones, and then hence tanking your testosterone. And half of these that you think are supposed to be losing fat are just actively working against you. So everything you've pretty much been running on to shred off that fat and build muscle is what is actually holding you back, and nobody can comprehend this, and that's why they stay stuck. That is why you stay stuck in this plateau for so long, and the scale just isn't moving, and you're just feeling horrible. So this is exactly how you are going to rebuild it, and how you are going to actually be able to get onto this bridge to high testosterone, to the physique and the goal that you want. So it's going to start with prioritizing real whole foods. So testosterone bridge, the very first thing, real foods like red meat, eggs, whole animal fats. These are actually going to give your body the raw material that it needs to produce testosterone, and it's going to give you the nutrients and all of these amazing things that your body needs and runs on. So if you're not prioritizing real whole foods, you aren't going to be able to build that high testosterone. And then second, you are going to remove suppressors. So this is going to consist of anything that is actively holding you back right now, which is a lot of the things you are probably currently doing. So the cardio, the calorie deficit, the extra time spent just pushing yourself even more in the gym, which is just actually actively working against you at the end of the day. And then you are going to, here, let me move this up. You are going to train to build, not burn. The way you are training is going to impact how your cortisol, how your testosterone react. And then that's just going to determine if you are actually going to build muscle or if you're just slowly shredding off muscle with some fat, which is where most people end up. And then they just end up in that skinny fat physique. They think they're getting where they want, and the scale might even be moving a little bit, but you're just shredding off muscle in minimal fat. And that's why you end up feeling horrible, having low energy, getting horrible sleep. And then after this, you're gonna fix your environment. And this is going to be how you are sleeping, the sunlight that you're getting, the light environment you're putting yourself in, the stress around you, and just optimizing your cortisol, and then of course all your other hormones with this. So to fix your sleep, you're gonna have to fix your morning, your night routines. You're gonna have to fix all of these things in the environment that your body is actively living in to then support your hormones and then increase your testosterone. So what you gotta understand is that you have to fix, wait, let me center this. All right, you have to fix the actual bridge itself. Fat loss doesn't just randomly happen from doing more cardio, doing a calorie deficit, doing all these things people say. It happens once you dial in what actually makes that fat loss and that muscle growth simultaneously happen, which is through optimizing your testosterone, optimizing your hormones, and fixing everything on the inside so you can naturally have everything happen on the outside. And once you have all of this dialed in, that is when you will then be able to get to that jacked and that shredded physique with that crazy ambition, the energy, the confidence, that identity that you actually know who you are and you're showing up in your life as the person you always have wanted to become. And I'm just trying to explain to you that you don't at all have a fat loss problem. You have a testosterone and hormonal problem. Once you actually can fix this bridge, fat is going to come off so easily, and you aren't going to have to experience that energy drop or anything like that. You're going to have this crazy energy, this ambition, this drive, this motivation to just chase these major things. And it's not, at the end of the day, only going to be about your physique. It's going to be about who you are, the man that you are becoming, and what you're pursuing in your life. So fix the bridge, the fat comes off naturally, and the muscle will build simultaneously. Now, if you actually want something just like this built out for your specific situation, you can book a free strategy call that I'm going to be linking in the description below. And if you've been stuck in a plateau with fat loss for a long time, just DM me rebuild on Instagram. We can talk about it. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching.